Yes, welcome back, Loony listeners. You are listening to Into the Night, a Moon Knight podcast. This is episode 136. I'm one of your High Priest of Khonshu Rey, and joining me tonight is that unstoppable force, that immovable object, I don't know, that all-powerful being, Chad, the power of Chad. Chad, welcome.
I don't know, unstoppable object sounds kind of good.
The unstoppable object, yes. The power of Chad is joining us again. Always good to have you, Chad. We've got something a little different. You know, I've subjected you to Bendis already, for good or worse. So that was fun, a lot of fun to do. We have a little Bendis later on in the month. But this episode, Loonies, we're going to be doing an Over the Moon arc review. And I hear you asking, well, you've done that before, what's the difference? Well, this one, as I mentioned last episode, trying to go a little left of field, trying to find some obscure appearances of Moon Knight. So this one will be Hulk, Volume 2, Issues 7 to 9. This was released around 2008, the beginning of 2009. Written by Jeph Loeb. So we'll be getting into that. And also, Chad, we're privileged to have some backup story, which I reckon we should chat about as well. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of ties into a lot of other stuff afterwards. So, I mean, kind of how it all gets rolling.
Yep, true. I guess we'll get to it as well. I've got some things to ask about some of these characters, but let's hold it there until we get there. So, Loonies, we have the Over the Moon arc review tonight. Well, we have a bit of feedback as well, which is always good to have. I did admittedly put up the discussion thread a little late, but got some audio feedback from one of the friends of the show, fellow collective Phil Me and Perich. Hello, Phil. I know he's listening. So that will be fun to unpack. And also, look, we've got the usual news, views and truths as well. Not really that much on the Moony front, but we can chat it in and around it. So, without any further ado, I was just about to say let's get cracking, but I also have to get used to this as well. I also want to thank, at the top of the show, our sponsors as well. The Patroonies, who will be, some of them, if any of them, will be watching the early video of this. Big hello to our Patroonies, Patreon members of the show, co-producers and or executive producers, chucking in their coin to help out. So highly appreciative of that gesture, and thank you very much to each and every one of you. And also our other sponsors, Hello Headphones. I've got their slogan here, empowering gamers to play at their best. So Hello Headphones, Loonies, if you use the code ITK Moon Knight, you can get 10% off anything from their online store. So big shout out to them. Alright, Chad, let us get into a bit of news here. I did a bit of trawling again. I'm not sure if you've seen the notes, the well laid out notes that I've put there. The first note being no Moon Knight news. So, Looney's pretty self-explanatory. I don't think I'll go into a 5-minute spiel about that. No Moon Knight news.
Actually, come to think of it, there was some Moon Knight news about casting involving, what's his face?
Daniel Radcliffe? Yeah.
Yeah. Just openly shutting it down. No one's ever even talked to me about it.
Yeah, I've seen that as well. I think, that was pretty much nipped in the bud quickly. For those of you that don't know, Daniel Radcliffe, a.k.a. Harry Potter, was linked to the Moon Knight TV show. He's recently shut down the whole kind of rumour mill, saying that, he's not looking to go for the part. He actually said something like, if he went for a big franchise again, it would be for... He said something like it would be for... He'd go for something a lot better than Moon Knight.
He said he'd be really picky about it because he doesn't want to get locked down for something that he's not sure about.
Okay, yeah. Well, fair enough. Okay, that's actually better put than what I heard. My other sources told me. So, fair enough. So the casting is still out there. I think we're still a while away. But at the same time as well, Chad, and this links into our Over the Moon review, namely that of She-Hulk, because one of the backups, well, the backup story to our arc review will be a She-Hulk story. A couple of things I pinged here, Chad. I thought there's apparently an interview with Alison Brie, and she awkwardly avoids any questions about the She-Hulk. This could be, you could read into this a million ways. Whether it is she is actually hiding something or whether she, just has nothing to do with it at all. Not a million, just two ways. What are your thoughts on Alison Brie, anyway, as potentially Jennifer Walters? I'm assuming she's not going to be She-Hulk.
I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of biased on this one. Like, I'm biased on a lot of things, but I just don't see her acting the part of She-Hulk in or out of transformation.
Okay, right.
Just because Jennifer Walters in human form before the transformation was very pragmatic, and I don't know, she kind of plays these wallflower characters. True.
I mean, it would, you could argue it would be a nice test for her acting abilities. I haven't read that much She-Hulk. I read, I think, about the first volume of the Dan Slott run, which was quite cool. I totally haven't read yet the Charles Soule run, which I hear is really good. Back in the day, I read 1 or 2 issues of the John Byrne run, but I can't really remember much of that. I always thought she was a little bit of a quirky character. I always thought that she was she meant to be, isn't she kind of like Ally McBeal, a little? If that's... No? Or is she a bit too... Okay. Yeah.
I'm not the best at judging that because Ally McBeal. I don't think I've ever even seen that.
Okay. Because she was a lawyer, I guess, and she was a little bit, I wouldn't say ditzy, but she was quirky, she was a little bit neurotic. I wonder if that's Jen Walters as well, but I also said the other side, as you say, she was very pragmatic. I don't know. I like Alison Brie. I'd like to see her. I'd love to see her actually take on Jennifer Walters, but I don't know. We'll have to go wait and see. Also, as well, sticking with the She-Hulk, this is the only other bit of news. It's not even Moon Knight related. Mark Ruffalo apparently in preliminary talks to appear in the She-Hulk TV series. Now, this has got me a little bit excited. How about yourself?
I'm wondering if they're going to keep to the old, transformation. She was shot because of her association in the courts.
Yeah.
And then, blood transfusion. There have been tons of blood transfusion, in other media, where nothing like this could have even happened. Except for in TMNT, where Leo gave a blood transfusion and created another turtle, but it just doesn't work that way.
Yeah, true. Maybe the audience is probably too savvy for that these days. But I did hear, I'm not sure if it was from another podcast, I can't remember, or whether I read it, but someone mentioned that they will be trying to stay true to the origins of it. So, I don't know. It'd be interesting. They'll have to explain it. They'll have to get into it a bit more and do a bit more of the, the fantastic science or the extreme, what do you call it again?
Super science?
Yeah, super science. They'll have to kind of try and super science it to see. But look, Mark Ruffalo will be pretty cool. I've heard banding about that Brie Larson might appear in the Miss Marvel TV show as well. So you've got the film stars crossing over to... Because now the arrangement with TV and movie is a lot more... meshed in, a little bit more organic between each other, which again bodes well for Moon Knight, whether we'll see him on the big screen as well. But I mean, those are the only bits of news really. Looney's, Moon Knight again. I mean, I did check. There is a flurry of, the same thing about which I've covered before, about Moon Knight most likely being filmed this year in the fall of November. They're going to be filming in Atlanta, and there was just a statement saying that previously Pinewood Studios were the only. Well, that was what was released. That is where they were going to be filming, but it seems now they're going to be doing some stuff in Atlanta, which makes sense again as well. So, do multiple locations. That would be pretty cool. But yeah, other than that, there was a bit more on the Daniel Radcliffe, as you mentioned, Chad, but nothing else really. So a quiet one for this episode, which is actually okay because we've got kind of like two stories to go through then, Chad. We have the first one. We might as well, this has kind of stuffed up my whole prompt sheet thing there, Chad. I don't know when to put the ads in, but that's okay. We'll come up with a break somewhere. All right, well, let's just head off into our Over the Moon arc review. Let's get right into it because, as I mentioned, it's going to be on Hulk Volume 2, Issues 7 to 9. Now, there are two stories in each of these issues, and as Chad mentioned, they kind of, interweave together, which is pretty cool. The main stories, which we'll cover and we'll have a synopsis for, bare bones for these stories, What Happens in Vegas, World's Finest, and Jackpot. That was issues 7, 8, and 9. And the backup stories, which will feature She-Hulk and the Red Hulk. So Jeph Loeb, I'm imagining then, Chad, he really made a big push for the Red Hulk. This was when the Red Hulk kind of came to be, and apparently there's a whole mystery surrounding who he was, and we all know now who he is.
Yeah.
But he was a very formidable character in this, and we'll get to it in the backup story with what he does with She-Hulk and basically the whole premise of that story. But again, as well, Loony's available on Marvel Unlimited, Comixology, or the Marvel store. You can still get it in singles, I'm sure. And there have been trades, hardcovers and paperbacks, I think long out of print. After reading these, Chad, I'm actually keen to, and I'm on a bit of a Hulk run, I'm pretty keen to pick these up because the art's, we'll get into it, art's beautiful, I think, and the stories are just fun and, very popcorny. So, yeah. Chad, would you like to just let the Loonies know about the credits, who did this little shenanigan?
Sure. So they were released December 2008 and on, Mm-hmm. The writer is Jeph Loeb, penciler is Arthur Adams, inker is Walden Wong, colorist is Peter Steigerwald, the letter is Comicraft Albert Deschesne. Mm-hmm. That's beyond me. And the editor was Mark Paniccia. Mm-hmm. I'm just not doing well with this.
I'm glad I gave you these ones.
Thanks. And then, what was it? The backup story is also by Jeph Loeb, and the penciler is Frank Cho, and the inker is Frank Cho. The colorist is Jason Keith. The letter is Comicraft again, and the editor was Mark again. I'm not going for that last name. Yeah, so Jeph Loeb writes both of these just right off the bat. Anyway, Chad, as well, have you read much Jeph Loeb? Or? I know I have. I just not dredging the name out.
Okay, yeah, because I know his work off the Daredevil. I think it's Daredevil. Was it Daredevil Yellow? Was that what it was called? It was Jeph Loeb and Tim Sale. Very kind of serious kind of writing. It was very good. Like, in the mold of I don't know, a Chip Zdarsky these days for Daredevil, or Charles Soule. But these two stories for Hulk, I know, it's very different for me. It's very light. It's a very light kind of writing. So yeah, I was actually surprised by this. But yeah, anyway. Anyway, Loonies, as well, for those that haven't listened, what Chad and I will do is we'll generally go through the bare bones, which is the synopses, or the synopsis for the story. For this one, we'll just do the main story, and then I think we can just improv the backup story, Chad, for the synopsis when we get to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we'll go through the various aspects again: writing, art, themes, characterizations, and references to any other runs. And we'll cap that off with a moon rating for you. So if you haven't read this, you can kind of get a gauge as to what we think of it. Or if you have read this, you can kind of measure your own thoughts against ours. So, Chad, I'm thinking I've got the synopsis here, the bare bones, courtesy of Wiki again. I've had to really edit it because there were 3 long synopses for each of the issues. So I kind of just cut some out. Would you be able to do, say, maybe the first 3 paragraphs, and I'll do the next 2?
Sure.
Cool.
Okay, so, bare bones here. Finally free of Gamma Base, Bruce Banner travels up to Canada to investigate the scene where the Red Hulk encountered the pack of Wendigo. Following the Red Hulk's trail, Bruce Banner finds himself in Las Vegas. Okay, that's kind of a trek.
It is.
Just outside of Cersei's Mystic Isle casino, he comes across a mob of panicked and gore-splattered people fleeing for their lives. Running into the casino, Banner witnesses the Wendigo attacking people. Banner loses control when he watches as a woman is dragged away to her death. Instead of transforming into the Green Hulk, Banner transforms into his gray alter ego, Joe Fixit. Happy to be back in Las Vegas, Fixit knocks one of the Wendigo clear out of the casino. As he fights the creature off, he is suddenly struck in the back with a number of crescent-shaped objects. Turning around, he witnesses the arrival of Moon Knight. The masked hero tells Hulk to leave, but Fixit refuses. Moon Knight manages to temporarily blind the Joe. But he manages to knock the hero out. Before the Hulk can pummel Moon Knight anymore, he is ordered to stand down by Miss Marvel and the Sentry. Fixit tosses Moon Knight into the sky, prompting the Sentry to go catch him. Miss Marvel then swoops in for the attack, knocking the Grey Hulk to a massive neon sign, and turning him from Grey, Mr. Fixit, into the Green Savage.
Meanwhile, the Sentry catches up to Moon Knight, but he doesn't want to be rescued. By the time the masked hero gets to the ground, the Hulk has grabbed hold of Miss Marvel. Moon Knight then shoves sonic disruptors into the Hulk's ears. The high-pitched sound causes the Hulk a great deal of pain, and the brute then tries to leap away. The Sentry then slams the Hulk onto the top of the Stratosphere Hotel and Casino. It's then that Moon Knight calls out to them and points out that the Wendigo are still running amok on the street. From atop the Stratosphere Hotel and Casino, the Hulk tells the 2 Avengers that he has a plan. This is simply smashing the Wendigo. Soon the Hulk is swarmed by the Wendigo. Moon Knight tries his best to force the creatures away, but his crescent darts have little effect on them. As Miss Marvel and the Sentry join Moon Knight, they are horrified to see that the Hulk has been transformed himself into a Wendigo. The 2 powerhouses slam into the Wendy Hulk and try to fight him to a standstill, but he is too powerful for them to handle. Suddenly they are joined by Brother Voodoo, who detected the presence of the Wendigo in the area. He has the 3 heroes keep the Wendy Hulk occupied while he casts a voodoo spell that causes a quick flash blizzard. Everyone who was turned into a Wendigo was returned to human form, including Bruce Banner. Finding themselves back in human form, the former Wendigo find themselves nude and violently ill. While the 3 heroes are busy tending to the people, Bruce Banner manages to slip away. Yes, there you go, Loony listeners. That was a synopsis covering issues 7, 8, and 9, as told by the power of Chad and yours truly. So, yeah, I mean, again, just off the bat, Chad, overall impressions. What did you think of this this story?
I'm kind of surprised at the writing in this, just because I'm not used to Carol Danvers acting like as ditzy as she is. I mean, you'd have to go into like the page by page, but she seems just kind of lost.
Yeah. She does. There are a few, I think, liberties that Loeb makes to characterize some of these central characters. But yeah, how did you find it? I mean, apart from Carol Danvers, did you enjoy the whole thing? In effect, really, it's about only 1.5 issues, because we've got the backup story, which is about half, right? So if we've got 3 issues, this is literally just like 1.5 issues. And I guess it'd be safe to say that it's probably for the best, because it was just a big slugfest, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that, like, this short, like, spiel in the arc, it was really just meant to springboard the backup bit to get into the next story on that.
I think so, too.
Yeah.
I think so, too. It's really funny because, number one, I guess it's got Bruce Banner, so he has to have the title, like the front story. But I think you're right. I mean, absolutely. It's more so, the interest lies more in Red Hulk, I think, that Loeb has... I don't know, did Loeb create the Red Hulk? Do you know? Or
I don't know. Well, let me find out.
Okay, so while Chad has a little look in his memory banks, let's just say that, because let's not give away anything. So Chad is just thinking really hard now.
Yeah. I'm meditating.
He's meditating. He's going to his, happy place to try and retrieve it, his palace. That's a really good point, Chad, because for all intents, I did find this a fun arc myself. It was, to me, and I'll put it in the notes, it was dead simple. The premise was like, it wasn't that difficult. It wasn't difficult at all. I do love my action, so I found that a lot of fun to go through. Although Moony was in it for a bit, I would have loved him a little bit more, I thought. But needless to say, though, I enjoyed the way the Hulk was... we got 2 different Hulks. We got the grey and the green, which I thought was pretty cool.
Excuse me, we got 4 Hulks.
Apart from the backup story, I mean, in the front story,
we got 3 Hulks then, because
Bruce Banner as well. Yeah.
There's Hulk, there's Grey Hulk, and there's Wendy Hulk.
Oh, Wendy Hulk as well, of course. Yeah, that was cool as well. I mean, you can kind of see that coming. I'm wondering back in the day whether that was a massive, like, cool moment. Like, who would have thought that you could mishmash the Wendigo and the Hulk? For those of you that have followed Weapon H now with the Hulkverine, the Hulk can get mixed up with anything. So, and the Wendigo, I think it's been done before with the Wendigo as well, Chad.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I mean, because that's the nature.
The lore is super open to it.
Sorry?
The lore is super open to just anyone picking up on it.
Absolutely, because it's basically, if you get bitten by them, right, you turn into them. The only premise being that you have to be in Canada, but this obviously this is blown out because it's in Las Vegas, so something weird has happened, probably in the issues beforehand or whatever. I haven't delved into them, so I don't know the backstory, but it's I found it just kind of really, really fun. Did you manage to grab the creator of the Red Hulk there, Chad?
Yep, it was Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, Jeph Loeb, and Ed McGuinness.
Oh, so it was their run then that created the Red Hulk. What are your thoughts on the Red Hulk?
I think it's an interesting take on the power set and how it works on a scientific level.
Okay.
As a character himself, I think he's a jerk, and I never liked him. Absolutely jerk. And for the benefit of the listeners, by no way is it a benefit for myself, can you please explain, Chad, what you mean about the scientific side of the power and how that's investigated? I know he's just super strong, right? He's got he's hot? Is that it? So, where the Hulk gets an increase in his strength from the gamma radiation, he basically uses it as a reactor. Just grows in his biomass. The Red Hulk gets stronger, not to the same, what's the right term, upward limit as the Hulk.
Yeah. But
he starts generating extreme amounts of radiated heat.
Okay.
And he'll actually cause fire around him. And yeah.
That's pretty cool.
it's devastating when it ramps up, especially if there's a team of Hulks all generating lots of gamma, and all of a sudden Red Hulk is just unleashing infernos everywhere.
So what happens, I mean, this is what I can't wait to see when I get into this Loeb McGuinness run and a bit more of the Red Hulk. So what happens when the Red Hulk and the Green Hulk are together? Because I know the Green Hulk, at least, well, Hulk in general, absorbs gamma radiation, so he can literally absorb what's being exuded, right, from the Red Hulk, and maybe vice versa. So
Yes.
would they be, so they'd be capping each other, wouldn't they? Basically.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Ah. Yeah, well, that sounds just like... But I've seen, like, the Red Hulk is literally, like, unstoppable, right? He's far more powerful than the Green Hulk, but I don't understand that. Like,
It's kind of like there's... So radiation kind of degrades things around it, right? It just kind of like chews away at the physical... what's the right term? Like the stability of everything.
Sure.
So basically, where things would start, punching at him and whatnot, he'd basically be taking that kind of damage and just kind of like shrugs it off. But with Green Hulk, you have to get him really pissed before he starts getting to that degree of defense.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, it definitely makes an interesting character, and we'll get more into that when we kind of look at the backup story. But as for this, the main story, so writing-wise, like in the notes here, like I mentioned, the focus for me was on the fun and it was fun and action. The way it was written was in a very light kind of manner. There were a lot of jokes. There's some comedic elements in there. I love the there was a bit where they're all getting beaten by the Wendy Hulk, and Miss Marvel's on the phone, and Moon Knight's kind of over the shoulder going, are you on the phone? Like, while he and Sentry are trying to contain Wendy Hulk. She's trying to get in contact with Brother Voodoo. The Wendy Hulk trying to eat the Sentry. I thought, whenever something tries to eat someone, I don't know, I just find that a little funny. I found this, it was kind of self-realizing. I think the way that Jeph Loeb wrote it was with Moon Knight and Brother Voodoo, when Brother Voodoo pricks Moon Knight, because he needs blood of a very specific person, like someone that has connections with the mystic, but not something else. It's like, oh, it's bloody fortunate then you've got me, like Moon Knight says, or something like that. So I found that kind of writing very fun and light, in the sense that Loeb knows the ridiculousness of, what he's trying to do, but he doesn't take it too seriously. Yeah, I mean, how about yourself? I mean, writing, anything stick out for you? Anything that you enjoyed, or do you think it was a little flat?
I want to run something by you, because you've been reading Immortal Hulk, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think the reason why the Wendigos are able to go down to Las Vegas, and why the Hulk was able to turn to a Wendigo, might have something to do with not so much Canada as much as the presence of the Green Door in the Hulk.
Right. Oh, yeah. I mean, that works retrospectively, but I doubt Loeb was thinking of some sort of Green Door back then, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, definitely. Yeah. No, for sure. And mind you as well, Loonies, again, I think I mentioned it before, Immortal Hulk, the series is really, really good by Al Ewing. Definitely worth checking out. Joe Bennett art is just really, really cool as well. Speaking
it's
of,
really horrifying.
It is
quality stuff.
It is. I've never seen it. It's a reimagining of how the Hulk transforms. And for those that have grown up with the conventional, I don't know, Bill Bixby eyes go white and the clothes rip and he just kind of turns. This thing, reimagining by Joe Bennett, is just horrifying. You see, it's really like body horror, isn't it? He just kind of stretches and morphs and he distorts. It's really cool. But also, as well then, Chad. Art-wise, if we're sticking with art Adams, what did you think of the art in this this main story?
I really liked, well, specifically the highlight, the Wendy Hulk.
Yes.
When he opens his mouth, holy crap. It's like, you really delved into that maw.
Yeah, you did. You have a good look. You can see the you can see down his right down the back of his throat. I was amazed.
I really liked it.
Yeah, Art Adams is an institute to Marvel and to comics in general, and he hasn't been doing much recently. And I think I'm not sure, even by 2008, he wasn't as. He's certainly doing a lot more in the 90s. I remember he did the Fantastic Four run with the new Fantastic Four, which was pretty cool. But we've been seeing less and less of him. But these 3 issues were fantastic. Not only that, but the detail, and the detail wasn't just limited to the main focal characters. I mean, he took so much time in Cersei's casino. You look at that opening shot of Bruce Banner standing, looking at everyone running away, and the Wendigo just causing havoc amongst the slot machines. A lot of level of detail. The statues of Las Vegas as well, painstakingly drawn by Art Adams. And of course, I found Moon Knight. I really liked the way he was drawn by Art Adams as well.
I was really impressed with how buff he made Steven look.
Yeah, I had that exact... Yeah.
I just don't understand. Like, usually he's all, like, prim and proper, stands straight up.
Yeah.
The way he's articulated, he's just, like, flexing everywhere.
Yeah. There's an early shot of when he gets out of the convertible with Marlene. You remember that?
Yeah.
And I couldn't get my eyes away from his arm. His forearm, like his whole arm was just as thick as, I don't know, his whole body. But, not done, I don't think, in a grotesque way. I mean, it still seemed to be in proportion, but he was very buff in it. Which is kind of actually leads me to a couple of points on characterization there, Chad. So, number one, did you find? I found it a little bit out of character. Moon Knight, he was a little reckless with his driving. Nearly hitting that guy on the way in. Did you find that?
Yeah.
Did you think that was an apt introduction to Moon Knight? I found, that seemed just a little off for me.
It didn't seem like a Stephen Grant thing, and Absolutely. That's who he was trying to be.
Absolutely, yeah. It's more of a Mark Spector thing. I mean, even the way he was dressed and everything. I know Stephen Grant is not meant to always be in a suit and stuff, but I would have
polo shirt, khakis, loafers. It's like he seems like a retired vet, which he kind of is, but
yeah. But just the fact that he had those bandages and band-aids clearly visible. It kind
everywhere.
It kind of exudes more of that like ex-merc, kind of ex-boxer look rather than like an entrepreneur. But I found that kind of interesting, the way he was depicted there. Also, with Moon Knight, I found him rather, maybe, I'm not to say it's a bad thing, but he was kind of standoffish to all the characters and kind of saw himself above them, which I'm not sure. I know. What are your thoughts on how he was kind of portrayed there with his interactions with the Sentry and Miss Marvel, in particular?
I think it's kind of a complex that most human heroes have, where they have like that swagger that it's like, sure, these people can fly, but I'm just a dude and I'm still somewhat up in those ranks.
Yeah. I can see where you're coming from. I mean, one of the things I love about, which was very Moon Knight-y for me, was how he took on Joe Fixit. I mean, you're taking it on the Hulk, and he's actually commanding him to like stop and cease and desist. He's not asking him; he's asking the Hulk. So I found that very admirable. Again, very Moon Knight-y thing to just take on anyone. You just don't care, but. I don't know. I was, I guess what I'm saying, I can understand him then having that kind of complex with the other characters, but they're so powerful, you know. But then I guess that's the same thing. Like whether they're friends or foe, he just doesn't care about that crap, you know. And he knows what he wants to do. He has a plan, and off he goes. Okay. Just one of the lines that he said that really stuck out for me was, I think he mentions, well, Sentry's trying to save him because he gets bloody flung up towards the full moon. Sentry's going up there to save him, and he throws some, I don't know what you call them, blinding...
Like flashbangs.
Flashbangs at his face, and then he does a backward somersault and goes down, and he goes, oh, you guys are just ruining everything. I'm going to have to clean up your mess. And it's like, wow, that's really badass. Like, even a helping hand, you are just kind of like biting straight away.
I mean, that's one of Moon Knight's big things, is his endurance. Even he's been smacked around by the Hulk before, and just kind of rolled with it, if you recall.
Yeah, that's right. I think for listeners, Chad's referring to, I'm assuming, the Defenders. We're talking in the lead up to 50. I think it was around maybe 48, 49.
I believe so.
Yeah.
With the moon eclipse.
No, that was
the 2-in-1.
Oh yes. Oh, that was the other one. Yes, that was in the Hulk magazine, I believe. I think that was 12 or 13, something like that. Anyway, this is probably a good time. I'm giving out loose references here. I did mention the FAF award. Anyone picking me up on any FAFs that I might make, a little disclaimer now. I'm not saying for sure that those are the issues. I'm saying in and around. So there you go. But there was also the other one with in the Defenders, Chad, where he and Valkyrie and Hellcat chase and fight the Hulk across New York City. And
right,
yeah, the early run. But we're talking another era then. So I think, I don't know, maybe the Hulk was less strong. But Joe Fixit is very scary, and this is another point of the characterizations here, Chad. I'm not sure how well versed you are in Hulk and all that, and Joe Fixit, but yeah, kind of me too as well. I'm really loving to get back into it. But Joe Fixit seemed really kind of scary and a bad dude here. It was fun to see him when he turned, and when he was fighting the Wendigo, you tend to be cheering him, going, yeah, I love that bit at the beginning where he goes, come here, I've got something to tell you. And then he just punches the Wendigo, through the facade. But when he turns on Moon Knight, it gets kind of a little, you kind of go, oh, crap, I hope he doesn't do too much, because he just kind of slaps him a little, and Moon Knight goes flying into that cab, and then he's kind of clenched his fist, and he's about to strike him again when Moon Knight's kind of down on his haunches or on his back. You're thinking, one punch from the Hulk, he's going to be goo. So yeah,
he's not wearing armor in that. He's just wearing the uniform.
Hey, exactly. Yeah, it's if anything, it's the old-fashioned Kevlar, or was that 2008? Potentially. Oh, I was about to say adamantium, but that was a purely Mark Spector Moon Knight series thing. I'm not sure if it made its way out of that. But yeah, so characterizations. You mentioned about Miss Marvel. You found there was a little. I found that too. She didn't seem to have. I don't know, the voice that we're kind of more accustomed to from her. But having said that as well, I haven't read much Miss Marvel back in here as well, and I've got references. So I've referenced also, because the question is, Chad, what the hell is Miss Marvel and the Sentry doing in Las Vegas anyway? Like, where do they come from?
I mean, they can fly pretty fast, and I'm not sure where they came from.
Yeah, I mean, Bruce Banner is explained, and Mark Spector, Stephen Grant is explained. They're just going out on a night at Las Vegas, but these two turn up. And so I had a little look. Around this time, we're talking about January 2009, December 2008. That was when these issues came out. So there was a Miss Marvel Volume 2, which was out around this time, but I checked the issues, and the issues there have nothing to do with her in Las Vegas, or actually have nothing to do with her and the Sentry. So, again, a bit of Marvel continuity happening here. I also checked Miss Marvel and Sentry. Why are they together? Now, around this time is the Dark Avengers era, where Norman Osborn, as Iron Patriot, takes over the Avengers, and he has his own team. And his team includes Miss Marvel and Sentry, but Miss Marvel there is not Carol Danvers, it's Carla Sofen, aka I think Moonstone, like a B-grade character. So,
Yeah.
So then it brings me back to, why is Miss Marvel Carol Danvers with the Sentry at all? It doesn't make any sense. I guess you're not meant to care about it or even question it in this run. They just happen to be there. And Brother Voodoo, I guess, makes sense. I think he was part of, around the Dark Avengers. I'm not too sure.
Well, the bright side about, travel when you're, a sorcerer, you just pop through.
And he did. He just zapped himself in. Okay, so going back to the art, I mentioned, great interpretation of the Hulk. I love the Grey Hulk in particular. He had the way Art Adams draws the Hulk's face is really, I don't know, quite memorable. To me, it's kind of second to. Sorry. And
it's very consistent.
It is, yes, it is, absolutely. Sign of a great artist as well. But to me, it's second to Dale Keown's Hulk run. Very memorable and consistent Hulk faces there. So themes as well, Chad. Anything that you picked up on themes for this?
I mean, I don't know. Professionalism doesn't extend to Las Vegas.
Gamble responsibly. That's maybe a theme. Who knows? Otherwise, you'll be eaten or turned into a Wendigo. I don't know. Look, the obvious one here, and as pointed out by Jeph Loeb's writing, peppered throughout this run is like journal entries by Bruce Banner, shown in the font with like yellow lined paper. And he mentions that the irony is not lost on him, Bruce Banner, because he's actually hunting the Wendigos, and the Wendigos are people who turn into monsters against their will. So it's kind of he's hunting the very thing that he is, and he's actually running from people as well. So it's I like that. It was a nice little neat thing. Again, the parallels between the Wendigo and the Hulk are very obvious, but the fact that Bruce Banner is hunting these Wendigo, apparently, it just kind of furthers that comparison, which I find quite interesting. Other than that, what was the other? Oh, yeah, I was going to go into the journal writing, Chad. Now, bouncing again back to the aspect of writing, and we said it's a very simple kind of comic. I don't know if you did it as well. I decided, I'm just going to read the journals, like the yellow text, and see what it yields. And it pretty much, it says, apart from that stuff about the Wendigo, which was nice and poetic and lyrical, it said nothing really than the bleeding obvious. Like, let me give you an example here. I'm going to pick one out of the blue. So I'm looking at issue 7. I'm going to pick any. Here, this one. I shouldn't have been afraid of letting the Hulk out. Now I have an entirely new problem to deal with. Doesn't really add much to the story, right? Let me find another one in the next issue. So a lot of these yellow journal entries are really just a lot of waffle. Seriously,
Yeah.
they kind of break up. They kind of break up the action, which is fair enough. I see the use for it. It's there to kind of break up, and you have a little reprieve by reading it. But it really doesn't add anything. It says nothing. This is the beginning of issue 8. Monsters. That's what this is all about. They come in red, green, and sometimes grey. I came to Las Vegas hunting monsters, white, terrible, flesh-eating creatures called Wendigos. Then things got worse. You know, not much substance there, really.
Nah.
So, sorry, Jeph Loeb. Just picking it a little. It's, yeah. And even this splash page, look. The splash... again, people who... Patroonies who have access to the video, I'm looking at the splash page there on issue 8. The Hulk. It wasn't long before the world found out my secret, and since then I've been on the run. Yes, we know that. It's been said a million times, you know.
I mean, there was a show all about that.
Exactly.
Everyone knows it.
Everyone knows it, yeah. My sole responsibility has been keeping the leash on the Hulk. At this moment, the leash has snapped. When has the leash ever snapped? Always, whenever he turns into the Hulk. So it's not much substance, I find, to this sort of writing. But I think the way I justify it is that the writing takes a backseat to the great art and the action sequences. I think that's the most that I get from this. It's a different sort of enjoyment, I reckon. Yeah.
Like you said, it's popcorn.
Exactly. It's a popcorn film. You munch away. You look at the. I don't want to say pretty pictures because they're a lot more than that. These are very nice. I really do enjoy. I really do enjoy the art here. Just a couple of final things here, then, Chad. Let's see, characterizations again. This is Ray getting really nitpicky. Okay, so we see at the beginning of issue 7. Explain to me, Chad. This is new segment. Loonies, explain to me, Chad. Okay. At the beginning, we see Banner walking into the casino. He seems to get rather nervous or agitated, and he says, "Stay calm, stay calm, stay calm," because he doesn't want to let the Hulk out. But the Hulk comes out as Joe Fixit, the Grey Hulk. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Chad, but the Grey Hulk always comes out at night anyway. It's nothing to do with adrenaline at all. So, what's happening there? I mean, why? Yeah, I don't know.
It could just be an emotional reaction since Joe Fixit is enamored with casinos.
Could be, yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it could be. But it just implied with Banner going, calm down, that he didn't want to let... He knew that it was coming, that he was going to let that... Maybe he thought the Green Hulk was going to come out, but for some reason the Grey Hulk came out because you said the love for the casinos. Anyway, I found that a little questionable. As one of my co-hosts would say, a little quibble. Nothing too big. The other little quibble that I like to pick, this is Ray with his tweezers picking away, the Hulk skin. Okay, look, and I've got this. I've quoted this from the wiki Hulk thing. The Hulk skin is impervious to conventional blades, adamantium and vibranium being strictly the few known metals that can effectively pierce and penetrate his skin. So, two things. I guess the crescent darts being lodged into the Hulk, and the Wendigo bites. So, how come the Hulk skin can be so easily pierced? I'm just,
It could be supernatural element.
True. I'm not sure. Yeah, true. I'm not sure if the Hulk has any vulnerability against the supernatural, but potential. Or that they could be just really strong, like really strong biters. And, just...
Stronger than 50 cals.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the Hulk can take a shell, like a mortar shell, to his to his face, and he'll still be okay. So pretty strong bite. Potentially, the crescent darts are adamantium. Again, we did see that in Mark Spector Moon Knight. Maybe they are. Maybe
it's oversight. Maybe.
I think there might be a bit of oversight here, Chad. A bit of oversight from Mr. Loeb.
Something to marvel at.
Something to marvel at. Yes, I mean, those were my only other notes. Anything else that you'd like to mention, Chad, about this issue? Oh, this arc?
Not that I can think of offhand, except for where the hell did Marlene go?
Yeah, she either got turned or she ran away with some of those sole survivors. Who knows? Yeah, Marlene. Usually, that was the other note I was going to say. Usually Marlene is the Deus Ex Machina, right? But we get a blatantly obvious one here with Brother Voodoo. We get non-stop fighting, which these three can't seem to stop the Wendigo. Then, lo and behold, Brother Voodoo comes in, blah, 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 casts a spell, everything's fine. Like, why wasn't he just brought in at the beginning? You know?
Yeah.
So that kind of I don't know about you, that kind of irked me a little. I love seeing Brother Voodoo, especially again with Art Adams' art, but it's like, come on, this is how you're going to wrap it up?
Why doesn't Bruce just hang out with Brother Voodoo?
Yeah.
Like, why doesn't he just, like, try and figure himself out in the presence of, Jericho Drum? Just,
yeah. Exactly.
Maybe he'll have a ghost of a chance then.
But no, Bruce Banner slips away when he can. Like, he's too used to that lonely man theme of walking away in the distance, just stick around, have a few exchange notes with Brother Voodoo, things would help you, but nah, off he goes. Yeah, so I know, I thought that was a little, I feel the punchline, for want of better words, from Jeph Loeb was the Wendy Hulk. That was his big reveal. That was his little ace in the hole for the whole story. But then after that, I think he just didn't know. Okay, how am I going to get out of this one? And just bring in someone magical, and bang, back to normal.
Magic fixes everything.
Yeah. Well, at least he jokes about it as well. I think Carol Danvers says something like, well, this is what you get when you can't contact Doctor Strange, at least, She makes a little quip about Brother Voodoo, which I thought was quite funny. So anyway, Chad, actually, let's hold off on the marketing. Let's mark it as a whole with the backup story, right? Because then we have an entirety. So wanted to dwell on this first, Loonies, because of Moon Knight's involvement in it. The backup stories, which I mentioned previously, which were Hell Hath No Fury, issue 7, issue 8, Like a Woman Scorned, and the last, issue 9, Revenge of the Lady Liberators. This doesn't have Moon Knight, but as Chad mentioned as well, it's quite intertwined with this whole Hulk thing, because the Red Hulk had something to do with the Wendigo. Is that right, Chad?
Yeah, the Red Hulk is the guy who was killing the Wendigo to set off all this.
Right, yes. So there's that. I think... Is Bruce Banner just hunting the Wendigo, or is he hunting the Red Hulk as well? I can't remember.
I think it's kind of both.
Okay. So he's on the trail of the Red Hulk, and in the backup story we see the Red Hulk. Look, the bare bones for this, Chad, I think it's pretty simple for the backup story. All I'm going to say for it is She-Hulk gets the living crap beaten out of her by the Red Hulk, so she wants to exact revenge on him. And she finds an opportunity to do so. She calls in some of her best friends, I guess some of these big hitters, like Valkyrie and Titania. Is that
Thundra?
Oh, thank you. Good.
It's kind of a difference there.
There is, yeah. I knew I was wrong. I knew it began with T. Yeah. And
let's see, there was Hellcat,
Spider-Woman.
Well, the second wave came in. It was Spider-Woman, Hellcat,
Invisible Woman. Storm. These are big hitters. We're talking big hitters. Tigra as well. So Tigra and Hellcat, I found that was funny. They came in, they scratched away.
See, I guess that's kind of a Moony connection. I mean, Tigra.
Oh
used to
yeah,
be with Mark Spector.
yeah. Missed opportunity there. She should have mentioned something somehow. I mean, but how was she to know in Las Vegas? But yeah, there is a nice tie there as well because they were She-Hulk wanted to call up Carol Danvers as well, but they referenced that she's in Las Vegas with your cousin. She's talking to She-Hulk, so that's cool. So what did you think of this backup story, Chad? Oh, and we get a very douchey, as you said, a very douchey, a very hateable Red Hulk. He was the pits, wasn't he?
He was the worst.
He was terrible. Yeah.
Like, even later on in his, like, life's, like, career, he's just a jerk. He's the worst anti-hero.
Oh, yeah, he's terrible. He's terrible. Yeah, I can't say I've really enjoyed anything that I've read of him, although I haven't read that much of him. I think I read him in Thunderbolts, around 2000, I don't know, 13, 14, something like that, with the Punisher and Ghost Rider.
The best thing he ever did was take a symbiote and the Spirit of Vengeance and roll with it.
Oh, where was that? That sounds pretty cool.
That was in the Thunderbolts run. I
that was
forgot
in the
which
Thunderbolts.
part, but...
Okay. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Yeah.
It was stupidly overpowered.
Well, he's stupidly overpowered anyway. Like, he takes... Yeah, he has all these lady liberators going at him, and then he plays possum at the end. And we're kind of going a bit ahead here. He gets accosted by She-Hulk, Thundra, and Valkyrie, and he pretty much beats them quite easily, right?
And taunts them and is a sexist dick.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the rest of the Lady Liberators come aboard, and they kind of it looks like I love the little technique Sue Storm does. She creates a bubble around his head, with a little pinhole, and Aurora chucks in the lightning. I thought that was pretty good. But even then, he's just fine. He's just pretending to be out, and they're waiting for him to revert because the whole mission actually. The whole objective of this is that they want to find out who he is. So She-Hulk meets up with Maria Hill at the start, and she kind of gets a directive to go to engage him and to try and bring him in, try to find out his secret identity. So they knock him out, apparently, and they wait till dawn, and he's still as he unchanged. And one of the interesting things at the end, just towards the very end there, Chad, he whisks Thunderer away, and he proposes a deal with her.
Team up, kind of.
Yeah. That's for the Thunderbolts, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And she's not entirely against it, really, so I like it how that's kind of left open.
Yeah. Which... It's probably my favorite incarnation of the Thunderbolts, is that one.
Okay, yeah. Well, I know Yep, sorry.
It's got, like, Flash Thompson as Agent Venom.
Yeah.
It's got Elektra. It's got Punisher. And Red Hulk.
Right.
And Deadpool.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, they're pretty good players. I like them. I should get more into Thunderbolts. Our good friend Rick Ball, he loves the Thunderbolts. Maybe I should.
Yeah, he likes the ancient '90s Thunderbolts. That's just pouches for days.
Oh, is that with Atlas and Citizen V and all that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Pouches galore. Anyway, I know. What do you think of the Frank Cho art as well for this? Because this was another, I think, apparent. He seems is a big name, Frank Cho. I find he draws beautiful figures, and not only female, but the Red Hulk, rippling. But I found the faces of like Valkyrie and Thundra. They look like twins, and for the most part, a lot of the female faces look the same. So
That's the big hitter on most of his artwork is the women look the same if they are of the same build.
yeah, yeah,
So the same faces, even if it's a different proportion.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. It was
to
really
this day,
obvious.
it's kind of a problem.
Okay, because these issues, it was very obvious. I guess because you had so many female characters in this story, he couldn't avoid it. So we're left with just looking at everyone, just going, they kind of look like clones of each other. But which is a shame because the human form wise, he draws very well, I think, and he does enough. Yeah, and he does enough different perspectives and human body movements to make it look quite fluid. So he's got a mastery of that. But unfortunately, I preferred the Art Adams, although it was a lot more cartoony. I guess if you can reduce it down to that, Art Adams compared to Frank Cho stuff, I very much preferred the Art Adams to it. Any other? I don't know. Any other? What did you think of She-Hulk characterizations of She-Hulk? Did she come across? Yeah,
Seemed pretty accurate. She was devoted, getting the objective done and over with. She was very pissed off and prideful, which she, is as She-Hulk.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, which is again funny because Jeph Loeb, as you mentioned at the beginning, he wrote both of these stories. Miss Marvel seemed to he seemed to really struggle with fleshing out her character in that story, maybe because there was just no room in that action-packed just slugfest. But in this story as well, it's mostly She-Hulk. Actually, it probably is mostly She-Hulk, but I feel the other characters as well, they had a better voicing in them than Miss Marvel in the main story. I think all of them probably did. The ones that had, dialogue, at least. So yeah, I don't any other themes to this. There wasn't really we know we know who the Red Hulk is. I mean, we can't spoil it now, can we? We can't we? I mean, people should know. It's 12 years old, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah. So it is Thunderbolt Ross. So it is actually the father-in-law of Bruce Banner. General Ross, for those that watch the movies, would know William Hurt plays him in the MCU. Yes. Yeah.
Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross.
Thaddeus. And there was actually a lot of speculation or rumours that the Red Hulk was going to make an appearance, in the lead up to Endgame. Still might in some, with the TV series happening. So, yeah. So there you go. Well, how about we rate the entirety of issues 7, 8, and 9? And so coupling all these together, reading it, your experience of reading it, I'm assuming, Chad, you read issue 7, then 8, then 9. You didn't read half of 7, half of 8, half of 9, and then go back to the backstory.
No, I just kind of screwed off and drank. I read it all.
No, I mean, as in, it broke up. So you read the bit of 7, and then the backstory of 7, and then you read 8. Yeah. I think it works best that way because it's a nice way to kind of break things up. Otherwise, I think a lot more of the faults would come out in the main story if we just read it as an entire story. You know what I mean? As a 1.5 issue size story. Anyway, so what would you give this this arc with Moon Knight, considering Moon Knight as well? Brief, but still,
Aside from his douchey personality, of Stephen Grant, it's a facsimile. It's not what Stephen Grant is about. I'd say it's 7 out of 10. 3/4 moon.
3/4 moon, nice one. 7 out of 10. I this might surprise you, Chad. I don't know. I've gone for a little bit higher. I've gone 7.5 out of 10. So I'm aiming towards what was Khonshu's rating system? It was a pretty. So I'm quoting an 8, but I'm giving it 7.5.
I think it was a solid round boy.
Oh yeah, that's 7.
Also 7.
Yeah, but 8 is
7.5.
7.5, edging towards 8 would be a big, beautiful yellow man. So there you go, loonies. I give this a big, beautiful yellow man. 7.5. It's a different sort of enjoyment. Okay, I'm not going to be pondering about this arc for days and finding layers and layers of stuff underneath it. It was just an enjoyable, as I mentioned, popcorn fest with beautiful art and great Hulk action. And with Moon Knight there was enough for him to do. He didn't seem too out of character at all.
No.
If anything,
except for the driving.
Except for the driving, yeah. Again, it was just a bit weird, and I think an ill use of Stephen. Whoever lettered it, they even misspelt Stephen. I believe Stephen. Yes, yeah. I think the right one is. I think the canon for Stephen is Steven, right?
I believe so.
Good. Faff me if I'm wrong. Anyway, so yeah, there's only that little blip. He seemed pretty. Always respect when he takes on characters bigger than him. So yeah, good 7.5. All right, Chad. Well, there you go, Loonies. Definitely worth checking out. See if you can get it at least in digital. If you can somehow find the trades or the hardcovers, by all means. If you're a Hulk fan, it's really more if you're into Hulk. Obviously, Moon Knight plays his part, but it's not that big. Why don't we take a break now, Chad? And when we come back, let's wrap up this show. But we have some feedback to get through, and then we'll let the Loonies know about the upcoming episode after this one. Catch you soon.
You belong to the Merry Marvel.
Anyone hear us?
This is Trey Lawson.
And I'm James Hickson.
Anyone can hear this broadcast. We need your help.
We've been kidnapped and imprisoned in a tomb by this creepy old undertaker named Mr. Gravely.
And he's forcing us to review his collection of Marvel horror comics. Stuff like Tomb of Dracula,
Werewolf by Night,
Man-Thing,
Ghost Rider,
and so much more.
Forcing us to record these reviews as a podcast called The Tomb of Ideas.
If you can hear this, please contact our families. Call the authorities. Anyone. Tell them we can be found at...
Now, boys. Let's not give too much away. You can find James and Trey every other Wednesday at the Tomb of Ideas, a Marvel horror podcast. A proud member of the Cinepunks podcast group. See you there, Tomb Believers.
The Merry Marvel Marching Society.
Yes, welcome back, Loony listeners. You are listening to Into the Night, a Moon Knight podcast. This is episode 136. I am with the power of Chad here. I have gone straight to the source. No dilly-dallying about. Get Chad on. Chad, how you going there? How you holding up?
Good. Most of the way through my coffee pot for the night and almost
Excellent.
done with my rum.
I'm assuming you just take your coffee straight, right? Just black?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Good man. Because they get the maximum coffee taste, right? I always have that as well. No sugar, no milk. Otherwise,
Nope,
kind of
just coffee.
Exactly. Well done. Anyway, Loonies, we just reviewed that arc review, and we have some feedback here. So, what I'd like to do is we have a voicemail. We have an audio file sent to us from Phil Me in Perich, friend of the show, co-host to the Ultimate Spideycast, the Scarlet Spider. Anyway, Phil dropped in some thoughts on this review right here, and I'll play it right now. So take it away, Phil.
Hey, High Priest of Khonshu and fellow Loonies, it's Phil again. That's right, 2 weeks in a row. I just been meaning to send in more feedback because one, I love this show. I love the character of Moon Knight. Ray's the man. And two, Ray has been sending in a lot of feedback to my shows on the Capes and Lunatic Sidekicks podcast, the Quantum Zone, and now the Ultimate Spidercast, which he's a part of once a month, as if he hadn't heard that 50 times already. Anyway, and then I heard, hey, Hulk 7, 8, and 9. I knew I had these issues, and then it's been a few years since I had read these, and then when Ray reminded me that my favorite Hulk, the Gray Hulk, Joe Fixit, was in this, I was like, oh, I have to send in feedback, yes. That's when I started reading Hulk, was during the Peter David's run. My very first new issue was Hulk 353, Hulk in Las Vegas. But anyway, that has nothing to do with these issues. But yes, I love the Joe Fixit Hulk, and I read this tonight, and then a funny thing occurred to me. Ray, did you like Moon Knight's the way he was written in these issues? Because Moon Knight, and then Carol Danvers as Miss Marvel, and the Sentry come in. Any of this seem familiar to you, Ray? Or anybody out there? These three seem to make quite the trinity. You know, the big super strong guy flying in a cape, get a warrior woman. And our good buddy Mark Spector made quite the Cape Crusader. That's right, Ray. I know you hate when Moon Knight's compared to Batman, but all these three seem like such the DC trinity of Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. I don't know if that's how Jeph Loeb... I don't know if Jeph Loeb was going for like a Justice League vibe, but it kind of smacked it to me of that. I don't know. Ray, did you get that Trinity vibe?
I thought they were Boston Pizza owners.
No, not quite. I think they were going for more of a Justice League vibe. But no, I liked it because even when, when Sentry and Miss Marvel try to come in and help, and Mark Spector's just like, get out of the way, I have this handled. It seemed very man-esque attitude to me. I did like the story, but I would have wished would have had more time of just Moon Knight solo versus the Hulk before the other two came in. I would have liked to, because we see with the Sonics and everything. Mark had quite a few tricks up his sleeve. I guess once the Wendigo showed up, you needed backup, but I would have liked to have seen more of a Hulk versus Moon Knight solo fight, especially my favorite Hulk, the Joe Fixit Hulk. I don't know if, again, it was a good story. Ray, you're gonna have to send me Connor's rating system. I don't know. I can't remember Connor's rating system. I don't know if I ever understood it, but I don't know. I like the art. Like I said, I like the story. I wish we would have got more solo Moon Knight. Maybe at least the whole first 2 issues, maybe. But overall, it's a good story. I'll give it the patented High Priest of Khonshu Rey rating of 7.5. Like I said, good story. Just wish there had been more Moon Knight. And the second story, I don't know if you're covering the second story, Ray. The whole thing was She-Hulk versus Red Hulk. I enjoyed the story. It was basically, most of it was just like basically a slugfest. It was a good action story. I don't know. At this point in comics history, it was just like Jeph Loeb had basically made Red Hulk this unstoppable killer. And just some of the stuff he says, because I don't know. For those of you who don't know who the Red Hulk is, I don't want to spoil it for you, but just when you find out who the Red Hulk actually is, just some of the stuff he says seems kind of weird, especially like the, you two girls are gonna be like the bread in a Red Hulk sandwich. It's just, I don't know, maybe just this man who, without spoil, I don't want to spoil too much, but just like a military man, and he's like, I don't know, talking like a street thug. Just, I could say maybe he's drunk with power, but I don't know. And I like the Arthur Adams art in the first story, but I mean, Frank Cho's good, but don't get me wrong, I like some Frank Cho art, but it's like you get half the women of the Marvel Universe showing up and they're all like double D cups. Yeah, Frank Cho doesn't seem to have like a lot of variety in his artwork. But overall, yeah, I mean, I don't know if I want to grade the backup, but the backup was good too. Maybe give that a 7. But yes, fun stories, especially that first one. Again, overall, like I said, yes, would have wished for more Moon Knight, but some fun stuff. All right, so thank you everyone for putting up with my rambles, and remember, last Tuesday of every month now you can catch Ray on the Capes and Lunatic Sidekicks talking Scarlet Spider with me and my co-hosts. So thank you everyone, and catch you later. Hope to be on the show soon, and hope to hunt for Khonshu's golden scepter with y'all. All right, peace.
Yes, and that was Phil. Thank you, Phil. Very, very insightful indeed. He makes some very interesting points here, Chad. Things that we didn't pick up on. What did you make of the Trinity, comparison here?
I didn't really see it. I think it was just the characterization of all the characters. Like, I can see the broodiness and the resourcefulness of, a certain Deflator Mouse and Moon Knight, but,
Yeah, I'm like you. I totally did not get it. Full credit to Phil for picking up on it, if indeed this is what Jeph Loeb has intended. I can definitely see where you're coming from, Phil, as well. I mean, Sentry, being that superpowered kind of caped person, Moon Knight being, being DC's Moon Knight, and Wonder Woman in Carol Danvers, which was kind of like the biggest stretch, I think, out of them all. But interesting. I mean, if it is true, I wonder what was going through Jeph Loeb's mind. Was it just like, here's a bit of fun, why not? Because it would explain kind of the absence of explanation of why Miss Marvel and Sentry are in Las Vegas at all, and why they turned up together. I mean, as I mentioned in the review, they aren't together at all. It's actually Carla Sofen, as Miss Marvel in the Dark Avengers with Bob Reynolds. It's nothing to do with Carol Danvers and Sentry. So there may be something there, Phil, but thank you so much for your feedback. It is fantastic. It just reminded me then, Chad, don't you hate these fleeting thoughts? They come and go while you're talking, and now, well, you as in me in general, talking, and it's gone again. Anyway, damn it.
I got one.
Yes.
This whole ordeal might just be a way to poke fun at how often Soups just kind of shows up with, Diane just out of nowhere, middle of the country. Just why are they there? I don't know.
Could be
Justice League.
Absolutely. I mean, Jeph Loeb did write a lot for DC as well, didn't he?
I believe so.
Yeah,
pretty sure.
Did he? Okay. I mean, yeah. Could well be. Could be an in-joke. It could be a very subtle reference to Superman and Trinity fans out there. But we don't know. But no, thank you, Phil. It's and Phil's thoughts on the art as well, kind of mirrored ours, Chad, with Frank Cho. I think you mentioned, and Art Adams. Art Adams, brilliant. I agree with you, Phil, as well. Top-notch stuff there. We also have, Chad, there's some written Moony missives.
From Rick Ball?
From Rick Ball. Do you want to read that one out?
Sure. The art by Art Adams is always fantastic to see. The way he draws monsters and heroes is so unique and special. Story-wise, it's basic, dumb fun, balls-to-the-walls romp with a surprise at the time, returned to Joe Fixit. Yeah.
Yeah, agree. Thank you, Rick Ball. I'm wondering if he did put Fantastic in caps lock as a reference to the Art Adams Fantastic Four run. Rick Ball, I reckon he did.
Probably.
Yeah, in the 90s. He knows what he's doing. Thank you, Rick Ball. Very good indeed. And totally agree. Balls to the wall romp. That's what it is, Chad. It's balls to the wall. Anyway. You also get another little bit of feedback again from Phil. Phil, very well done here. Phil's put in fun read. It certainly is always a good time when Joe Fixit is involved. I totally agree as well. He does add a lot. He's such a... I'd like to see Joe Fixit versus Red Hulk. I mean, it's kind of like douche versus douche, isn't it? I mean, in douche, Joe Fixit in a good way. I mean, because he's... he talks the talk, doesn't he? He's...
I'm not sure if I'd enjoy that. I'm sorry, just like that's just too much.
That'd be too much doucheness. Like douche concentrate. Yeah.
I don't want to. That phrasing is bad.
Chad's gonna need a shower.
More
after
rum.
This. More rum, yes. Yeah, where's the whiskey? Let me have a swig. Well, there we go. So thank you so much, Loonies, for sending it in. Admittedly, again, sorry, the discussion thread came up a little late, but a big thanks to Phil and Rick for sending in some thoughts. It's not too late. If you have more thoughts, just drop them into the discussion thread. We do love to continue the discussion in the group. So if you have any thoughts on this after you listen to this, let us know. It's all good. All right, we're heading towards the end of this show. Just want to give some quick shout-outs again, a bit of a spectacle. A reminder as well, the other show that I do, Last Sons of Krypton Superman podcast, our episode 38 has just been released. Funnily enough as well, it's based on a request by Phil Perrich. It's a Flash comic, Flash number 53. It features Superman, obviously, in that as well. So that's just dropped. Go check it out if you're a Superman fan or curious. Also, a reminder, the last Tuesday of every month on Capes and Lunatics Sidekicks, I do co-host with Phil and our other co-host as well, Matt Kona, also from the Quantum Zone. We are on the Ultimate Spidercast and we talk Scarlet Spider. So that's the last Tuesday of every month. Go check it out. Speaking of Matt Kona, a huge shout out to Matt. Thank you, Matt, so much. Matt Kona of the Quantum Zone. He sent over a t-shirt of the Quantum Zone. Sent that over for us. I'm going to be wearing it. I'll be wearing it, when we record as well, Matt. Don't you worry. Wear it with pride. I love it. Thank you so much. And I'm going to be shooting an ITK shirt your way as well. Let's kind of, let's keep the promotions on our chests, literally. Speaking of which as well, TeePublic, again, just wanted to mention there's about 10 different designs there for you to choose from. Go check it out. I think around the middle of March to the end of March there will be a sale, so we're talking about 35% off everything there, so you can get your shirts for dirt cheap. Be sure to show your support for the show by picking up an ITK shirt. That'd be really cool. And finally, Fantasy Comic League, Chad. We've still got to do our drafts for March, right?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, we've got to hurry up with that. But that's all going ahead. And what I wanted to say to the loonies out there, if you are interested or curious, start getting your expressions of interest, the EOIs, in to the show. Just drop us a line saying that you want to know more about it. Can you be part of it? This season 3 is wrapping up at the end of April. So we're entering the second half of it now in March. But it's a good time to let us know if you're keen. See if we can drum up a division or two for the Fantasy Comic League. It's a lot of fun. So a big thank you. Also, Chad, thank you so much for coming on to the show again. It's always fun to chat comics. It's always fun to chat something. Well, it's fun to chat something a little different now with the Hulk. I don't know, you and I were not exactly the biggest Hulk fans, right? Would that be fair to say?
Honestly, I wasn't that big of a Hulk fan until Immortal Hulk.
Oh, yeah.
It's been really different flavor.
Well, it had. I mean, exactly. It had that Immortal Hulk is so different from the other runs of the Hulk. It's very much its own thing, and it's such a great run. So everyone check it out. I'm going to be checking out more of this Loeb McGuinness run. So it seems Art Adams was like a special guest artist. I think most of it's Ed McGuinness. He's no slouch as well, so that should be a pretty good run. But thank you, Chad. Where can Loonies find you if they want to chat with you, talk rum with you, or coffee?
You can find me in the Loony bin. You can find me in Moon Knight Core. I'm usually at least lurking in them.
Yeah. And Twitter as well.
At Twitter, you can find me at Angled Time. That's
Cool.
ANGLED, not Angeled Time. Thank you.
Chad shakes his head. I'm assuming the amount of time people have misspelt that. Anyway, no, a huge thank you, Chad. Really, really appreciate it as well, and welcome anytime as well. It's always fun to have you on. So, a big thank you. Next phase, Loonies, we are entering a waning gibbous. So yes, it is the return of our Isla Ra sessions, and we'll have I'll have a special guest on, Curtis Findlay. So some of you will know he is the host of Epic Marvel Podcast. He's the only podcast out there that covers the Epic collections, a very popular niche of collecting. I'm part of his group, and my gosh, it goes off. People love talking about their Epic collections and their trades. So I can't wait to chat comics with Curtis and to find out his 4 Desert Island books. I know them. I haven't read them. Very interesting. Very interesting indeed. Can't wait. Finally, Loonies, we are part of the collective. There's a whole network. It's a loose network of kind of like-minded people, character-based or geek culture-based. The likes of Sons of the Dragon and Immortal Iron Fist podcast, Thanos and Adam Warlock podcast. I just listened to their recent episode of Death and Resurrection in the Marvel Universe. That was very cool indeed. And We Are Venomaniacs, a Venom podcast. So amongst that and amongst others, go check them out. You can find them in the link on our show notes down below. Finally, you can email us on itkmoonnight@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. Or just our social media like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. We're on Discord, Get Vocal, where we are on now, Patreon and Podchaser. And we have websites in Libsyn and WordPress. So, yeah. A big thank you again to Hello Headphones for being our sponsor. Again, with the code ITKMoonnight, you can get 10% off on their online store for anything. So go check them out. They produce quality stuff. Ratings, if you'd like to give us a rating, that'll be really good. You don't have to, or if you want to give us a lower than 4 or 5 star, let us know why. We'd love to improve the show and hear your thoughts. And finally, podcast catchers, we are on most of them, if not all of them. Go check them out. Whatever you're listening to now, and stuff like Podbean, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, we're all on there. So check us out. Anyway, I think that about wraps us up. Chad, a big thank you once again. And and I'll be chatting with you online soon enough for sure. We've got a couple of other things as well, which we'll have to kind of prep for. It's all good. We've got to get our drafts in for the Comic League. Busy. So much to do. Anyway, as always, Loonies, may Khonshu watch over the denizens of the night. Catch you later.
Moon Knight and affiliated characters, stories and events are properties of Marvel Characters Incorporated. Materials used and discussed within the podcast are intended for critique and review purposes only under the fair dealing concept of the current Copyright Act. The views, information, or opinions expressed during the podcast are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent those of the copyright owners.